Hey, everybody. Welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McEllis. And before I introduce my guest, you know what I'm going to say. We really appreciate your likes, subscribes, your shares, and your comments. And at the end of the show, if you want to go back into the show notes, leave us a question. We might be able to answer it on the next segment. Well, today I am fortunate enough to have round two with Dr. Autumn Edwards, and we are going to start with bringing it together in a little meditation. So if you are driving or busy doing something else, please watch this video later where you can close your eyes and breathe and tune in to the vibrational frequency of the words and the notes and the energy that she will bring through. So here we go. Welcome, Dr. Autumn Edwards.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you for entrusting me with this process. It's really a devotion for me. And just want to remind everyone that prayer is a participation in a collaborative process with Creator. So whatever your participation is, whether it's setting an intention, whether it's visually following the prayer and the intention of the prayer, whatever works for you, even if it's just to be in a place of reception, your participation is important and it matters. So I will share the prayer that I have been given by my guides and my angels, and we will go into that space together now. I ask to merge my love light consciousness with my highest love light consciousness. I invite my highest love light consciousness to fully incorporate into this body, this vessel, this being, so that we may be one continuous stream of unified infinite love light consciousness of Source God Creator. We ask to be brought into perfect harmonious union and perfect harmonious resonance to merge with the infinite love light consciousness of the Divine Heavenly Mother and the Divine Heavenly Father of Source God Creator. We ask to be brought into perfect harmonious union and perfect harmonious resonance to merge with the infinite love light consciousness of the Heavenly Christ and all heavenly ascended light masters and angelic forms who would like to actively participate in our highest and greatest benefit. We ask you all to be here with us now. Please heal, transform, ascend all energies in, near, and around us so that only that which is within our highest and greatest benefit be with us now. Please help us to co-create perfect sacred geometry forms and perfect sacred geometry grids of healing crystalline diamond light and diamond light fields around our shared space and our individual bodies of vessels. Please seal it with the highest vibration of the universe and the infinite love and light of God so that only that which is within our highest and greatest benefit be with us now. With infinite love, light, and gratitude, we thank you. Aho and amen.
Well, that's some spiritual dope right there.
That's right.
Y'all want to get high, you want to connect. That's that euphoric feeling that you get when you connect. And there is just nothing compares to it. So thank you so much for bringing that through. And thank you for being the pioneer and taking the action, having the courage to listen to what you have learned to be your guide team and your innate voice, even though it's been very natural for you all your life. However, really truly listening as an adult when there's a lot of chaos and responsibilities and actions that we have to take to live the lives that we think we're confined to living, that you are listening and that you are able to bring that forth, not just for yourself, but for me and for all the viewers to listen to. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. It's a privilege to do that.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Autumn Edwards, what shall we share with the listeners today?
Well, I mean, if I were to put myself in their shoes, I would wonder, like, why should I listen to this person? Like, what is important for me to hear? And I think that understanding what people bring into a relationship is really essential. It's the relationship that heals. It's the relationship that builds. It's the relationship that develops the shared experience. And you can have medicine and you can know medicine, but the relationship is the delivery system of the medicine. And I think that that relationship is supreme. And you're going to have a different experience with medicine with one person over another person merely because of the dynamic of the relationship. So I think it's important for them to know who I am and how I can bring forth in a relationship with them, whether it's listening to me on a podcast, whether it's participating in a membership I may have, or a one-on-one session. So I think that that's instrumental.
Totally. And I love it. And thank you for that introduction to what you're about to share, which is more about who you are and why you are.
Oh, the why.
Ooh, this
Why?
could take a couple hours, folks. Get a cup of tea, get your slippers on, get comfy.
I know. Uh, well, I mean, it's been a long path and a lot of work. And I mean, when I was a little girl, I was like, I'm going to be an astronaut. And my uncle, who was in the Air Force, was like, well, you have to go into the Air Force first. I was like, no. I was like, I'm not going into the Air Force. And then my mother was really into whales. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a marine biologist. And then by the time I hit high school, the biggest thing was like engineers, like creating new things. I was like, oh, I'm going to be an electrical engineer. And none of those things happened. It took me 15 years to get my undergrad, uh, 3.5 years my master's, and another 2 years for my doctorate. So it's been a minute, but all of it divinely orchestrated. And through divine providence, I came into Chinese medicine, and I actually wanted to be a naturopathic doctor. Well, let's go back further. I started as an electrical engineering major, and then a math major, and then a biology major, and then an accounting major, and it just kept evolving. But God intervened and kept pulling me out of school and allowing me to go back the closer I came to my path. And when I was pursuing naturopathic medicine, there was just very clear signs like this is not the way. And then just asked myself, well, what about Chinese medicine? And my life instantly fell into place and it instantly got simple. And so I followed that path. But I was already doing psychic readings. I was already doing shamanic work. I was already doing mediumship. And I didn't believe that I could do that full time. I didn't believe that was something that I could support myself on until I was in Chinese medical school and I was seeing 18 to 20 clients a week for psychic readings and shamanic healings. And I was already doing it. And then I just incorporated the Chinese medicine with it. And I have my own approach to Chinese medicine that I think is a little bit different than what maybe people are used to. Um,
Mhm.
and so I bridge. I like to I like to consider myself a bridge. I'm a bridge between realms. I'm a bridge between experiences. I like to say the acupuncture needle is the bridge between the spirit and the body. And I believe that the heart chakra is the center of the soul. It's the bridge between the divine and the physical form. And so my practice, because I come from a place of love and joy in everything that I do, like I need my practice in honor of that space, which is Anahata, Sanskrit for heart chakra. And so my practice is Anahata medicine, and my logo has a bridge in it. And so it's about bridging the realms. It's about how do we bring your most divine essence into your physical world? How do we harmonize your body with your spirit? How do we help you to step into your greatest alignment? And we do that with a combination of whether it's conversation for self-discovery on a cognitive level, whether it's I'm psychically reading through your field and seeing what presents itself. So I can say, this is what's presenting in you right now, and these are the things to focus on. Or if I'm placing a needle in your body so that your nervous system can regulate and match what your soul is trying to do. So it's a harmony of all of the approaches and how I can assist a person step into their best self.
Mm. Well, it sounds to me like you've got a lot of tools in your toolbox and that you went around the whole college route. Oh, I'm going for here. Oop, nope. Take exit stage left. Oops. Go back in the right. Oops. Go backstage. You went all over the place, but I'm sure all of that, well, as we know, got you through this door, but I'm sure all of that experience and knowledge that you gained probably really is such a life lesson of learning so much to be who you are in this moment.
It is. And that's, the scholastic piece, but really the personal journey is what takes you there, right?
Mhm,
And so, um, like many people, childhood trauma and adolescent trauma and
mhm,
adult trauma and
mhm,
um and I got to a place in my mid-20s where I'm like, I'm the only common theme in all of this and all of
yeah.
the phenomenon and all of the lived experiences. Like, I'm the only constant. So I need to look at myself. And I went to therapy, and I think it was like the early stages of cognitive behavioral therapy that I went through with a clinical psychologist. And I did that for a few months and got to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, I see what I'm doing. I see what that leads to. And I was able to see my pattern and dissect it and realign it. And uh, I think all of the suffering that I've been through has enabled me to be able to have compassionate understanding of what others are going through, especially like the victim mind. So when you're in a place of being a victim, you assume the reality of the assailant, right? If there's
Mhm,
exposure for a long period of time, you assume their reality is truth, and you get stuck there, even though your innate being knows it's not true. On a cognitive level, you assume it as true, and it takes time to break out of that cognitive prison, and pushing somebody to turn the key and unlock the lock doesn't really do much other than it pushes them deeper into that prison sometimes. And being able to have a compassionate space to be able, like, I am here for you when you're ready to step out of that, when you feel you have the strength in your legs and your core to move into a greater element for yourself.
mhm,
So there's different pieces of my lived experience that gave me enough perspective to be able to assist with that, but not so much trauma that I couldn't come out of it on my own. And so that led me into my spiritual journey and learning how to do shamanic journeys and doing my own meditations and talking to God, and then letting God guide me along the path to know how to assist people. I
mhm.
don't have I don't have any formal shamanic training. My training was given to me through meditation. And so bringing that information through in my day to day for my own lived experiences, for my relationships, or for the people I work with, like that's how I've come to this place that I'm in right now.
Do you think the meditations and the journeyings help you reorganize and sort of unwind so that you could allow any blockages in your circuitry system to flow?
Absolutely. I mean, the answers are all within. And so we all know on a core level of what is true and what isn't true, what is so, what isn't so. And if you have enough safety to be able to go into those uncharted territories through meditation, through journeying, then it'll all be revealed. And so my sense is like, I'm not doing anything for anyone else that they can't do for themselves. I just am fluent in it and I can get there maybe more efficiently and faster. I tell people all the time, like, you can change the oil in your own car, but you're probably going to take it to like a professional to do it because they're just more efficient and faster. So
Mhm,
there's that component. Um, and I believe we live in a world of harmonics. And if you're a single frequency playing a solitary note by itself, it's beautiful and it's lovely, but there's so much depth and so much nuance when you have multiple instruments or multiple frequencies or multiple notes coming together to create a harmonic. It just touches you in a new way. And sometimes we're not able to get to where we need to with our own frequency. We need an additional frequency to be able to bring forth the vision that we have for ourselves and what we can be and what we're stepping into. And so,
Mhm.
yes, all of that information to remove blockages, to come into greater alignment, to have greater awareness, it's all within, absolutely. And we are better together. We're better in collaboration. We're more as an expanded community. And when we come together to assist one another, we experience ourselves in an even greater capacity that we could have even envisioned for ourselves.
Mhm. When I was a kid, I used to love to get back into bed at night and redo my dreams.
I love that.
Mhm. I'd have a dream and I'd wake up in the morning and I go, okay, I'm going to come back. I'll come back to that one. And I would get into bed. This is in grammar school. And I get into bed, even junior high and high school. And I would call the dream back up and then I would go in it and I would move things around for different outcomes.
Mm.
And then, when you were talking, I had this flash of like, I could remember like going into, say, my family kitchen when I was a kid. Siblings would be there. And I would know how it was going to quickly play out. Like I knew what this was going to say, that one was going to say, that was going to say. And then my response would just blurt out based on that. And it was like it was so lickety split, but if you saw it in slow motion
Hmm.
of like this conversation, that conversation, me walking into it, assessing it, and then my response was either in harmony or the rebel, the rebel response
Right.
was based on this thing that would go on in my head, although there was never a hiccup in time, you know, and it was seamless. But again, you'd have to stop the movie, do a quick frame back, and then look at it. And that's how I felt like I lived through that. So I'm thinking you probably did a lot of the same stuff through your trauma, drama, and all the other things, but also with your education and your innate knowledge and your attunement to that
Mhm.
inner voice that is truly your authentic you, right? It is the rebel within you that doesn't want to conform, that doesn't
Mhm.
want to compromise, that sees things in a broader perspective and doesn't want that confinement. So that's really what the innate voice is, to let you think about and feel things differently, um, to change things in your world. So you probably did a lot of that. Would you say you did?
Yeah, and there's different terms for that, and the terms that I've learned for the process that I've gone through are things like soul retrievals.
Mm-hmm.
Term that came up, what was given to me by my spirit guides was narrative rewrites, and apparently that's now a common new thing that I've been doing for over 20 years. But
Yes.
but it's always been, right? It's always been. Uh, and then, I go and I do genetic recalibrations, working with the combination of the ancestral trauma and the karmic information, whether it's from previous lives or even collective consciousness that you've chosen to embody with. Um, Gone and done contract renegotiations when you have discourse in your life where you're like, okay, this isn't moving in a positive direction. We're stuck here. And so we're gonna like, okay, well, let's go speak to your greater consciousness and like see what we can rework as far as an agreement is concerned and how you could live together or apart in a way that serves both of you. So yeah, so like all of those things I've done for myself and for others. And then, there's also plant medicine that is incredibly powerful, whether it's just herbs or if it's psychedelics. And so I've been in the psychedelic sphere for, depending upon when you want to start it, like 13 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
So do you yourself use it for a tool, and then do you assist others to use that for a tool?
yeah.
It's like, and I want to address this really
Hmm.
quickly because it's coming through.
Hmm.
So we need tools in order to make things more efficient.
Hmm.
And like we need a screwdriver. Okay, so we could use a butter knife, but a screwdriver or even a screw gun would make it even more efficient, right? So that's tools.
Right.
We use our breath to regulate ourselves and to come out of maybe a frenzy of some sort, right? We use that. We use food to balance our blood sugar and to keep all of our systems in a nutrient balance, right? We don't, and then we use things like brain gym and um, doing your crossword puzzles or using your left hand to write instead of your right. So there's tools to work the brain. So let's talk about the psychedelics and what that does as a tool with the proper guidance. Because I think there's a lot of misnomers about that. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of shame. Well, you got there because you went out and got high, right? No, well, hold up a second. So could you maybe dive into that for a quick sec?
Absolutely. I'd be I'd be delighted
Or
to.
2 seconds, just it.
So I was reluctant to go into the psychedelic realms. I was just like, it's a great tool, it's a beautiful tool. I don't need it. I already have everything I need, I don't need it. And then one of my best friends who has a ayahuasca and plant medicine center in the Amazon in Peru and has lived there for decades. And she said to me, she's like, Autumn, you are my best friend. She's like, and I need you to understand why I've devoted my life to this. And so you are coming to ceremony. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, no, but fine. And when they say it's 10 years of therapy in one night, it is 10 years of therapy in one night. It it shows you things. You step outside of time when you go into that realm. And so because you step out of time when you go into the psychedelic realms, you can receive a lot more information and hold a lot more information than you can when you're in this particular confine. I've experienced with ayahuasca, with psilocybin, and with San Pedro mescaline, and they all serve in a different way. And my preference is psilocybin because to my experiences, it's the balance of the masculine and feminine. You get the benefit of both the visionary process and the conscious downloads. Ayahuasca is more feminine. You get more visionary experience. San Pedro is more masculine. You get the conscious downloads, but to me, the psilocybin is both. But you also have to be very careful when you go into this territory because my understanding is that these psychedelics, they're activating the God code within our genetics, and it's opening portals. It's opening portals of consciousness. And if you don't have a solid container when you go into this place, a portal itself by itself is benign. It's not positive, it's not negative. So it allows whatever is able to identify it and come through. And so if you have not set the resonance of your intention in that process, you are tapping into multiple dimensions of potentiality. And I have witnessed people who have become possessed by entities and by consciousness and by spirits, whatever you want to call it. And I've had to go through what we can call extractions or depossessions or whatever with those individuals. If you have a good container and a tight container, then you go straight to God. And you have the divine reconciliation that your spirit is searching for. So it's very important to make sure that you are in a very specific container of energy in order to receive that which is beneficial to you. Otherwise, you can find yourself in a context which will take you to where you need to go on some level, but it's going to be a harder, more difficult journey.
Well, that sounds extremely powerful. I've heard very good things about it. I myself am not a substance user. And I even stopped using alcohol like back in 2016, 17, just because of inflammation. I don't like altered states of bizarre consciousness because I don't know if it's a control thing with me. I was suggested to use psilocybins. And I got some, and I prepared my day where I could be home alone, and nothing happened. So about 3 weeks later, I got some from someone else, prepared my day, and nothing happened. Now for me, That sounds very bizarre to anyone else who's familiar with it. But as I went to put them away in my drawer, I heard very clearly the spirit at this time, this is not for you.
Mm.
We want you to find out other ways to do it. Now, the more I have learned about ayahuasca and psilocybins, and if you're using them properly, especially with support, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like I would come do it with you, right? In that safe space. I think I would let that mental guard down. I think that my guard is short and stocky and carries multiple tools like a club and a knife. Like
Mhm.
y'all aren't getting in here. Like no one's
Right.
getting in here. And so I think that's what might have been part of the resistance
Mm-hmm.
to it. Um, but if you're in a supportive and someone who is experienced with it, I have heard amazing things about opening it up. Now, the one person I bought psilocybins from, she works with a big hospital that is doing a lot of studies on LSD and cancer,
Mm-hmm.
reversing cancer, reversing all kinds of things. And of course, we always know that the government likes to step in there and shut things down if you're going to get too smart for your own good, right?
Yes.
So that's part of, oh, you can't do that. That's a no-no. That's a this, that's a that. So if we could maybe release some of that, I think that we ought to speak more about it so that there is more plain and simple conversations for the layperson who may have preconceptions of, oh, that's horrible, that's bad, that's cheating, that's this, that's that. What could you say to that?
I think I think people are gonna, if there's fear, then they're going to find information to support their fears.
Mhm.
And if people have curiosity and if they have faith, then they're going to find information that's going to support their curiosities and their faith. I mean, it's like anything else. What I can tell you that I do know for sure is that psilocybin, for example, binds to our serotonin receptor sites. It binds to our dopamine receptor sites. It binds to our 5-HT2B receptor sites. And it creates a euphoric phenomenon in the body on a chemical level. And with the 5-HT2B binding, it can mitigate some of the anxious tendencies that we have. And it also binds to the 5-HT2B receptor sites in the heart tissue. So you can have an excited heart rate for a short period of time when you do utilize higher doses of the psilocybin. There is absolutely a physiological mechanism of action and cascader effect, but it's not going to be any real significant chemical differences in like antidepressants or antipsychotics, as far as like what is being bound to. But what they're finding is that the strength of the binding and the way that the binding unlocks the neurology is actually a greater harmony with the natural organization of our neurology in our brain. And when you are under the influence of psilocybin, for example, what they've noticed is that new neural pathways are created through different regions of the brain. Lobes that have not been communicating are now communicating. And not only are they communicating, they're communicating in a harmonic, strengthened way versus a dysregulated way. And psilocybin can go in and take broken pathways that have been harmed or damaged and rebuild them and harmonize them. So I believe that psilocybin, as an example, can truly heal the brain, restructure the brain, and assist the neurology to be in greater harmony with the soul, the spirit, the consciousness, and the physical body in total. So from a biochemical level, it's radically healing. Now, when you're talking about the spirit and the consciousness, the container and the understanding of the container and the intention you set is going to absolutely direct your experience. And that's a whole nother conversation. But the thing I will say about that, as long as you go into it with a place of love, and if you default to love, and no matter what conscious space you are in, if you're in a place of discomfort within your own being, and you're like, I need to feel all the love that I can for my family, for myself, for the things that are important to me, it'll catalyze you through that, because love is light. Light is is God. God is love. God is light. It's all the same thing. Love is the brightest, greatest light. It is the God frequency. And if you can access that in your being, it's going to take you straight to the heavens in that psychedelic portal expression. And you will receive whatever guidance it is that is going to serve you the most from the heavens perspectives. And as long as you go into that with that awareness and that consciousness, then you will be able to transcend the things that you've been struggling with on a lived experience on a regular basis.
Holy shiitake. Because, the whole time you're talking, I'm like, "Ooh, sign me up." And then I was going back to the times I tried it. And while you were talking, and the plant was saying to me, "You did not commune with me. You did not join with me. You followed exterior setups," because I knew nothing. I was doing it blindly.
Hmm.
Blindly. I just read about it. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to do this and I need to do that. And then maybe prepare some food in case you
Hmm.
want it, be in a place where, you're safe. And so I was reading like a Google, like, so it didn't happen because I didn't commune in a different way. So how you just explained it just freaking blew my mind. And I can see the little psilocybins just dancing like, yeah, like she said. Yeah, like she said. We would have worked for you if you had done it like she said.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it like you said, and then maybe we can report back on it.
That's great.
We can report back on it. I'll be a living, breathing example of not knowing what the hell I was doing, which I'm
Mhm.
sure many people do.
Yeah.
And so I never condemned it or gave it a negative report. I just said it didn't work for me at that time.
Hmm.
And I was never closed minded about, and I'm not closed minded about most things, but that I would experience it again. Would I get on a plane and go to some far, far away land and meet a whole bunch of people for the very first time and go into a yurt or something that you see on a movie and experience it and vomit and all that good stuff? I'm not so sure I would do all of that at this time,
Hmm.
but I would, like, if I was in a space like yours,
Hmm.
or in your guardianship over the process, the dome of this is between you and spirit and this plant, and go from whatever steps those are. I would say I'll book a few sessions with you between now and 10 years from now.
Right.
I'll be
Thank you.
pre-booked, Dr.
Thank,
Autumn.
thank you.
My next here's this journey, here's my next journey, here's my next journey.
Right. We got a
Like,
plot. We got a plan.
like you pre-book exercise classes,
Hmm.
I'll pre-book this. But
Yeah.
that sounds so powerful. And the reason why I wanted to do it, I wanted to experience it. I wanted to see what information, and then I wanted to see if I could emulate that on my own, like
Hmm.
at least call back that feeling, that space, those memories, and how they incorporated weeks, months, a year, 2 years down the road. It's kind of like when I go to a place of peace, like I might travel, and then something, hectic is happening in my world. I may stop, drop, sit, connect with my breath, and then mentally I send my consciousness to that space, and I'm there and I'm breathing the air and I'm feeling and seeing and sensing the birds in my environment. And I can tactile touch everything. And then it just brings that all back forward. So I'm thinking, this could do something like that too.
Absolutely. I mean, when I had my first psilocybin journey, it was phenomenal. I was shown the organization of the universe, and I was fully incorporated into my body as my full divine self. So I was telepathically linked to everything. I was watching the earth breathe. I could hear my partner's thoughts. I
Mm.
was responding to their thoughts verbally, even though they said nothing out loud. And it was pure euphoria because I was 100% harmonized with everything. And in that expression, I felt so whole and so complete that I had no need or desire for anything outside of myself.
Mm,
And when I'm going through a difficult time, or life seems a little more challenging than is reasonable, I go back to that moment and I call that part of myself back in.
nice. So you're not just meeting your fragments and pulling your fragments back in, you're able to call them up when need be to bring in more complete wholeness of the you. That's what I'm hearing.
That's my approach at this point in time. I'm like trying to think about anything prior. I'm like, I can't compare it because it doesn't even seem real. But at this point in time, my intention is to bring all of myself forward, all of my divine being forward,
Hmm.
every piece that my physical being can hold and beyond, and try to even like expand it beyond my physical frame, because there's space outside of my body that is still my body, right? And so yes, I'm just trying to bring as much as of my divine self through the continual process of remembering my true nature.
Wow. Now, do you bring some of this into your practice, or do you go places, or how does this work is this for you on a personal level?
Well, it depends upon what we're referring to. If we're talking about like psychedelic journeys, um, I'm open and flexible with what that looks like. I don't work with people I don't know. I only work with people I do know.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the responsible thing to do, because I want to be able to truly understand them, know them, understand their needs. And I psychically am going through that journey with them, tapping into them, seeing where they're at, and doing energy work where it's necessary to aid them into their process. I've used microdoses to help people titrate off of pharmaceuticals, and to
Hmm.
get off of antidepressants, SSRIs, SNRIs, things of that nature. And that's been really a great journey. Um, but for my own personal use at this point in time, very infrequently is there like a healing process that I go through. It's more of like I go into like, what can you share with me that I can bring forward to be able to help humanity and the collective?
Hmm.
And I'm being shown more and more and more and more like the structure of things. Like my last journey for myself, I was shown how the body was made and what made the body and how it was animated. And so I've been bringing
Mm.
that into my practice to assist people with their own healing journey. So there's information that I'm shown. 2 journeys ago, I went through the breath of creation infinite times, and I went through infinite incarnation loops. I don't remember the lives that I incarnated to, because when you're in this space, you're outside of time. But I remember the process of incarnating and the feeling of that. And I remember the joy of that and the pain of that. And I was shown like the process of going through the incarnation cycle and the creative expression. I don't remember all of it entirely, but I have embodied the sentiment of the experience. And it was also through psilocybin that I crossed over completely and was given the choice to come back or not. And you can overdose on psilocybin. You can. Uh,
Hmm.
Psilocybin binds to our serotonin receptor sites, and there's something called serotonin syndrome, and it can induce a lethal seizure, because the brain short circuits. And I think I took enough to do that, and I was able to witness the seizure. I crossed over. I saw my body through the veil, and I chose to return when I was shown what would happen if I didn't.
Mm.
And it was a choice. Like it wasn't like horrible what would happen if I didn't come back, but the way that it impacted the people that I love, I was like, I can't put them through that, so I will come back for them.
Well, a lot of people think the soul chooses when it exit, but it can absolutely exit accidentally. There is no question in my mind
Hmm.
from the things that I know that they've shown me. And when I
Yeah,
say they, it is my innate self as source, my
yeah.
higher self, which is me because we merged some time ago. So I operate as one. And
Hmm.
then I have a few guides that so there's a lot of clear knowing. So I
Yeah.
don't I don't hear voices. So lots of times I refer to they, you
Hmm.
know, and I feel sometimes I feel like I need to just explain who they are. They are me and I
Yeah.
am them. So
Yep. That's my experience
Yeah.
too. People like, well, who
Mm-hmm.
are they? I'm like, what? They're all, it's like a group. Like, and when people are like, well, who are
Mm-hmm.
you talking to? I'm like, it's like if you were to go into a coliseum and all the chairs were full, like that's what it is. It's like a coliseum and all the chairs are full of divine beings, and
Mm-hmm.
that's who I'm with. I don't have a way to discern
Yes.
that one from another. They're all the same. And so that's my experience. And I agree with you. I've had 3 opportunities to leave this world within the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And all 3 of them I chose to stay for different reasons. One of
Mm-hmm.
which I don't even understand because it was me, but not me that made that choice. It was like me plus that made the choice to stay. And I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the autumn wasn't really factored in. It was this greater
Mm-hmm.
consciousness that moved through me that made the choice to stay on this plane. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know where that came from, but it feels like me, so I trust that.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand completely. And I think people that are listening will understand as well. And what they might not understand in this moment may bring more clarity down the road as you begin to expand your awareness through listening to this,
Mhm,
because people may hear some of this for the first time and it may seem very foreign. It
mhm,
may resonate somewhere or it may not, that is consciously acknowledged. But when we take in information and we sit with it, we have no judgment of it, right?
mhm, right.
Then down the road, it could be as early as tomorrow, tonight, next week, next month, 6 months, a year from now. It can all come together like pieces of the puzzle.
Mhm,
And so that's why we don't discard information is, well, that doesn't make any sense. So therefore I'm not going to give it any thought. It could be
mhm,
like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, I enjoyed hearing the experience or somebody's perspective. And I really don't know enough about it to say yay or nay for me, but I'm just going to be with it and let it just find a little nussily corner of your person, your brain, and it'll come out and elaborate when it needs to. And
mhm,
it puts the pieces together. So I'm sure a lot of this is new to some people and they're hearing it in a different way because again, some of this plant medicine stuff is very has a lot of stigma
mhm,
to it. And I mean, they'd rather take a pharmaceutical controlled substance, that each pill has equal amounts. And I've seen so many people become zombified by some of that, but they
mhm.
can't regulate plants. So they just can't regulate plants. So that's why you're not taking plants. So just so
Right.
you all know. I'm
Well,
just letting you know by law they cannot regulate plants. So
it's true. And like most of the pharmaceuticals that are derivative of some sort of
yes.
constituent in a plant. Like 95% of the pharmaceuticals come from a constituent from a plant in the Amazon.
Yes.
So the way that they've structured the legal parameters is like if you can identify the chemical structure of the thing and then patent it, then you can sell it. But the
Right.
plant as a whole, you're not able to do. And
Correct.
so, that's where we can lean into like the actual plants. But then also the stigmatization comes from like the complete opposite pendulum swing too. You have the people who are doing what we call medicine chasing. It's people who
Mhm.
are jumping from one ayahuasca ceremony to the next ayahuasca ceremony to the next ayahuasca ceremony, and they're not coming out any different.
Mhm.
They get the information, whatever information they're able to receive based upon where they're at in their own like progressive path, but then they don't do the actual work to integrate and to become one with that consciousness. They just keep going from one process, like one individuated process to the next, and then that creates a schism between like what does true healing look like versus somebody who's just going through the motions of what the process of healing is. But you can't just go through the motions, you have to do the internal alchemy and the actual work. So there's that stigma too, where it's like, well, you're just, why am I going to like jump on that bandwagon with that person? They've been doing the ayahuasca, they've been doing the psilocybin, they've been doing the shamanic journeys, and they're just the same mess that they were before they went into that. And it's because they're not doing the internal work. They're just going through the motions of the ceremony, but they're not embodying it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like what you were saying, I don't work with people unless I don't do any of this unless I directly work with people for a period
Mhm.
of time. I mean, I know, before I've ever done Vision Quest, it's been required that you work with the shaman or whoever is leading it, and you're
Right.
having healing sessions, and then you're having regular sessions, and then you're having group sessions, and so you work through some of the unraveling,
Hmm.
so that when you do have your experience, you're closer to more of a reveal of what it needs to be seen, because
Hmm.
you're letting go of um, a lot of, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical, hold me backs, right? And then the teacher gets to know you in a way
Hmm.
before you take any kind of leap. So I think that's critically important. I'm glad you take those precautions
Yeah.
for multitude of reasons that we don't need to talk about on camera.
Right. True.
Okay, people, there are some things you just don't need to know on camera. All right, so before we sign off, is there anything that you would like to add to our, however this went today? Because we went different places. By the way, you guys, we had nothing planned. We had nothing planned. We said, let's go into our little quiet minutes in the beginning, and then and this is where we are.
So the only thing that really comes through is like, if you feel that my frequency has something to offer you, I invite you to explore what that looks like. It's going to be different for everybody. It could be psychic coaching, it can be psychic readings, it could be shamanic healing, it could be Chinese medicine, it could be simply to share space and to discover who you are in the context of a new frequency. And if I can allow that or offer that in any way, like it's my privilege to do so in a way that feels comfortable for you and makes sense for both of us. And I, and if this is the only space that is entertained, then I think that's enough. And if
Mm.
it goes further, then it goes further. And I just appreciate the opportunity.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Autumn Edwards. And she is at drautumnedwards.com. And that link will be in the description below. So in the meantime, everybody, thank you for another segment of Keep It Spiritually Simple. And again, like, subscribe, share, leave us a question or a comment. It does help our algorithms. And Dr. Edwards, thank you so very much. It was again an honor and a pleasure to be on. If you guys want to see any previous segments with Dr. Autumn, we did one on Psychic Rebel and a few other topics. So go back and look at that video. And again, like, subscribe, share, and hit a comment or leave a question on that. So yeah, we just appreciate each and every one of you. So I will say goodbye, and we'll see you on the next segment of Keep It Spiritually Simple. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you all.